Welcome to Millennium Daily News. This is Ifat Fatima with top stories. Trump administration will allow states to test Medicaid work requirements. States rethink sexual misconduct policies after complaints. Europe urges Trump to honor Iran nuclear deal. Tunisia hit by new anti-austerity protests. Bisho Ijtema begins after 2-day hiccup. And ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup, Bangladesh start as favorites to qualify from Group C. Those were the headlines, now the detail. The Trump administration said it would allow states to test requiring some Medicaid recipients to work or participate in community activities such as volunteering or jobs training as a condition of eligibility for the government health insurance program for the poor. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services issued guidance making it easier for states to design and propose test programs that implement such requirements. States must propose such changes through waivers and receive federal approval. Seema Verma, the agency's administrator, said the policy guidance came in response to requests from at least 10 states that have proposed requiring some Medicaid recipients to work or participate in activities that may include skills training, education, job search, volunteering, or caregiving. Those states include Kentucky, Maine, New Hampshire, Arizona, Indiana, and Utah. U.S. immigration agents fanned out to nearly 100 7-Eleven convenience stores nationwide recently, arresting 21 people suspected of being in the country illegally and giving owners a tight deadline to prove other employees are authorized to work. The operation was the largest worksite enforcement by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, since Republican President Donald Trump took office last January. Agency spokeswoman Danielle Bennett said in an email, taking a harder line on illegal immigration, including building a wall at the border with Mexico, was a touchstone for Trump during the 2016 election campaign. After a tumultuous few months that saw numerous lawmakers accused of sexual misconduct, a majority of state legislatures across the country are considering strengthening sexual harassment policies that have gone unheeded or unchanged for years. A 50-state review by the Associated Press found that almost all legislative chambers now have at least some type of written sexual harassment policy, though they vary widely, and many are placing a greater emphasis on preventing and punishing sexual misconduct as they convene for their 2018 sessions. This week alone, lawmakers in Arizona, Idaho, and Rhode Island underwent detailed training about sexual harassment, some for the first time. European powers have urged the United States not to abandon the 2015 agreement with Iran that limits its nuclear program, saying it is making the world safer. After meeting his Iranian, French, German, and EU counterparts in Brussels, UK Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson insisted the deal was preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. He also challenged Washington to come up with a better alternative. U.S. President Donald Trump wants to amend the deal or withdraw from it. In October, he refused to recertify for Congress that Iran was complying, accusing, if not living up to the spirit of the agreement. More than 300 people have been arrested in Tunisia overnight as anger over the government's austerity measures spilled into the streets once more. Police used tear gas against large crowds demonstrating against price rises affecting basic goods. The army was deployed into towns across the country to protect government buildings, which have become targets. Prime Minister Youssef Chahed condemned acts of vandalism by the protesters, saying they were trying to weaken the state. Protesters have taken place in at least 10 different areas, including the capital, Tunis, in the last few days. The protests began peacefully last week but escalated on the evening. Welcome back to Millennium Daily News. Now, news on Bangladesh topic. After a 2-day hiccup over joining it by Indian scholar Maulana Saad Kandhalvi, the first phase of Vishwa Ijtema, the second largest congregation of Muslims after Hajj, is set to begin on the bank of the Turag River at Tongi in Gazipur. Thousands of Muslim devotees from 16 districts of the country have already thronged the venue to take part in the religious congregation. Devotees from 135 countries also participating in the Ijtema, reports the UNB. The opposition to the participation of top Indian scholar of Tabligh Jamaat Maulana Saad Kandhalvi in the Ijtema by Hifazat-e Islam Bangladesh had created a crisis over the congregation. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina recently made a clarion call to all to help her government implement its development programs to change the socio-economic status of the mass people. I seek your utmost cooperation so that our development programs can be implemented properly, she said. The Prime Minister said this in her introductory speech at the inaugural program of a 3-day development fair at Upazila and district levels across the country from her official residence Ganabhavan through a video conference, marking the homecoming day of Father of the Nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. Sheikh Hasina also put emphasis on dissemination of information of the ongoing development programs and those to be taken in the future among the people of the country. President Abdul Hamid emphasized on carrying out more research on liberation war and freedom struggle, as it is the sacred responsibilities and duties for all to ensure that present and future generations know the actual history of the country's independence. President made the remark while addressing a program on unveiling the cover of a book named 1971, Resistance, Resilience and Redemption, written by his military secretary Major General Muhammad Sarwar Hussain at Darbar Hall of Banga Bhavan in the evening. President hoped that people who cherish the spirit of liberation war, including writers, researchers, intellectuals and journalists, would conduct research works on liberation war and freedom struggle. Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan said top scholar of Indian Tabligh Jamaat Maulana Saad Kandhalvi will not join the 53rd Vishwa Ijtema. He disclosed the decision while talking to reporters after a meeting with the Surah members of Bangladesh Tabligh Jamaat and 5 members of Alema Advisor Committee at his ministry. Asaduzzaman said the first phase of Vishwa Ijtema will begin on Friday as usual in a peaceful manner. The two feuding groups reached an understanding that Saad Kandhalvi won't attend the Ijtema. He will go back to India at his convenient time. He will stay at Kakrail Mosque until his departure, he said. Bangladesh Tabligh Jamaat will decide who will conduct the concluding munazat of the Ijtema, the minister said while responding to a query from reporters. Expressing concern at surveillance of cybercrime, Transparency International Bangladesh (TIB) said the misuse of surveillance of cybercrime can lead to the risk of curbing freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Initiatives for the formation of specialized police units for surveillance of cybercrime are timely and essential in practical context, but the misuse of surveillance of cybercrime can lead to the risk of curbing freedom of speech and expression, TIB said, reports the UNB. In a statement, TIB Executive Director Dr. Iftikharuzaman said the news published in the media has revealed that the government has initiated the formation of a specialized unit to target those who spread malicious, provocative contents hurting religious sentiments. The problem of cybercrime prevention and suppression is a problem for the world. Bangladesh is no exception in this regard. Viewers, now Millennium Business News. Walmart plans to give its 1 million workers $1,000 bonus and start paying them at least $11 an hour. The move by the world's biggest retailer follows that month's U.S. tax code overhaul that slashed the corporate rate from 35% to a flat 21%. Hourly paid employees will get the higher rate from the next month. Walmart raised the minimum wage to $9 an hour in 2015 and the following year offered a $1 rise to those who completed an internal training scheme. The chain also plans to expand maternity and paternal leave benefits. Wall Street was set for a positive session as speculation over China halting U.S. bond purchases eased and investors focused on quarterly earnings reports and rising oil prices. U.S. crude futures CLC1 rose to $63.82 a barrel, its highest since December 2014, boosted by a surprise drop in U.S. production and lower crude inventories. Positive brokerage recommendation and oil majors Exxon and Chevron lifted their shares up about 0.3% in pre-market trading. International students are worth £20 billion to the UK economy, says a report from the Higher Education Policy Institute. The analysis says on top of tuition fees, their spending has become a major factor in supporting local economies. London alone gains £4.6 billion, with Sheffield the biggest beneficiary in proportion to its economy. The think tank's director, Nick Hillman, says the figures support calls to remove students from immigration targets. There are about 230,000 students arriving each year for university courses in the UK, most of them postgraduates, with China the most common country of origin. South Korea is considering a law to ban cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin being traded on local exchanges. Justice Minister Park Sang-ki said virtual currencies were great concerns and that the ministry was preparing a bill to ban trading. However, South Korea's presidential office said later that a ban had not yet been finalized and was one measure being considered. The local Bitcoin price fell by a fifth after the Justice Minister's comments. In South Korea, it trades at about a 30% premium compared with other countries. Viewers, now Millennium Environment, Science and Technology News. Consider this cold comfort. A quick study of the brutal American cold snap found that the Arctic blast really wasn't global warming but a freak of nature. Frigid weather like the 2-week cold spell that began around Christmas is 15 times rarer than it was a century ago, according to a team of international scientists who does real-time analysis to see if extreme weather events are natural or more likely to happen because of climate change. The cold snap that gripped the East Coast and Midwest region was a rarity that bucks the warming trend, said researcher Claudia Tebaldi of the National Center for Atmosphere Research and the private organization Climate Central. The U.S. House of Representatives plans to vote on whether to renew the National Security Agency's warrantless internet surveillance program, as privacy advocates have mounted a land-ditch effort to limit its impact on Americans. The vote is the culmination of a years-long debate in Congress over the proper scope of U.S. intelligence collection, one fueled by the 2013 disclosures of classified surveillance secrets by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden. The bill would extend the NSA's spying program for 6 years with minimal changes. Most lawmakers expect it to become law if it prevails in the House, although it won't still require Senate approval and must be signed into law by President Donald Trump. At the CES 2018 Technological Conference in Las Vegas, the Netherlands-based company showed off a 3D printed prototype for a VR glove that lets one to pick up different objects in virtual worlds while also wearing a headset. CNN Technological tested out the company's spaceship and classroom virtual reality experiences at CES, which used a VR headset made by Taiwan's HTC. Viewers, now Millennium Sports News. Pakistan-led Bangladesh will take on Namibia in their opening day match of the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup 2018 at Burt Sutcliffe Oval, Christchurch in New Zealand. Hosts New Zealand will take on defending champions West Indies in another opening day match up at the Bay Oval in Tauranga. The remaining two fixtures on the day will see Pakistan take on Afghanistan in Whangarei and Zimbabwe face Papua New Guinea in Christchurch. Ahead of the tournament, Bangladesh conceded 3 successive losses in 5 warm-up matches, 2 coming against New Zealand's domestic side Otago A, while 1 was abandoned before a ball could be bowled. The Young Tigers also lost their first official warm-up against Afghanistan by 56 runs, while their last scheduled pre-tournament fixture against Pakistan was washed out. North Korea's late announcement it will send a large delegation to next month's Winter Olympics in South Korea has eased concerns over any Pyongyang threat during the Games, but it does create headaches for planners over accommodations and security. The North announced its participation after the first inter-Korean talks in 2 years, soothing tensions for the time being that Pyongyang might test fire another long-range missile. Its escalating series of missile tests over the past year has sparked talk of war on the divided peninsula. The United States may have claimed at least 9 gold medals in each of the last 4 Winter Olympics, yet remarkably all of this success has been achieved without government funding. Unlike many nations who will compete against them in Pyongyang next month, the United States Olympic Committee and the programs they support receive no financial assistance from the country's administration. This lack of funding has forced coaches involved in the training and preparation of American Olympic athletes to look elsewhere to gain any competitive advantage. Before ending, the headlines are once again. Trump administration will allow states to test Medicaid work requirements. States rethink sexual misconduct policies after complaints. Europe urges Trump to honor Iran nuclear deal. Tunisia hit by new anti-austerity protests. Bisho Ijtema begins after 2-day hiccup. And ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup, Bangladesh start as favorites to qualify from Group C. This is all for now from Millennium Daily Newsroom. To get any kind of news, please log into facebook.com/MillenniumTVUSA and youtube.com/MillenniumTVUSA. Besides, to get the most updated news, please visit to our website www.millenniumtv.net. Stay with Millennium TV USA. Allah Hafiz.